What's up, Zoxaskun? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, I want to talk to some of you guys that are unlucky like me. And I already know somebody to be like, well, Zox, you're a god in the gacha with your ratio. But no, we're not talking about the gacha, man. We're talking about everything else. And I actually took the time in the last stream to show, and I think we sat there for probably like 45 minutes where we just rolled passes on shells. I was rolling gear. And people actually got to see like how bad my RNG has been on passives, on gear, etc. Right? And this is something that I felt like kind of led me to just kind of sitting and like looking at, okay, what can I actually work on right now? And I wanted to share that with you guys because I feel like that also might help some of you guys that are struggling, or maybe, you know, you don't know what other things to work on right now, right? So let's actually talk about it. So one of the things that I realized with this game is that there's basically this trend where the best of anything comes in 3, right? Now, it's kind of a weird thing, right? But if we actually take a look here, and I just want to kind of talk about the shells, what we actually got with the update, right, was we got a bonus. If we go to hit the recycle button, we got a bonus in how much training data we have. So here's the thing. I think it is obvious that we know that we need more reconfig chips if we want to roll passives, right? But that's not anything we can actually tangibly do anything with right now. And I'm the type of person, process of elimination, what can I tangibly work with right now? What can I actually, like, what is the variable that I can control? Now, right now, because I'm getting an extra flux of training data, that means that I can actually build more of the shells that I need. Now, I think that this is definitely for the average player a huge like bonus, because I think like that was a issue for some players, was that they weren't able to actually generate or make enough shells to be able to actually facilitate or make the teams that they wanted to, outside of having the passive effects that they want. Right now, I will say that, and kind of going into that mentality of like, you know, the best of anything comes in 3, what I noticed with a lot of different teams, and it was funny because I even seen a recommendation yesterday from someone that was like, you know, talking about PvP, that in PvE and PvP, in most scenarios, you might use anywhere from 2 to 3 of a specific popular or predominant shell. But what I also realized is even if you use 2 of a shell, right? Like let's say that like you only ever need 2, having a third as kind of like that flex shell, it just kind of accommodates whenever you're trying to adjust or do something else, or another piece of content. Because that's the thing that I think that like also becomes a struggle point too, is like swapping on and off things, which some people are okay with, but I would almost argue that most are just kind of like, oh my God, like, so that's just kind of one of those things, right? But like I said, what I noticed is that even just having a shell with like, you know, slightly different alterations to it that maybe might give you a little bit more of something else can be quite beneficial when you're trying to compile the team comps that you want for you to be able to get through content, right? So like, for example, some people think that it's like just super overcomplicated when it comes down to like building up certain teams, like say trying to do a Terramatan clear, or your team is like, they're dying in the midst of the fight. A lot of people, especially the more savvier people, just like, you know what? I'm just gonna give everybody artisan, you know? So they might have the one person that needs to rotate really fast on like a gigabyte, and then everybody else is on artisan. So they're just constantly covering each other with excess shield, and making sure that whenever that HP value shifts, there's always somebody up with the artisan to be able to make sure that that person's alive, right? We have the revelation stuff going on right now. And this is even something that I'm currently like, okay, maybe I do need to work on that a little bit more personally, is building more lighthouses, right? Like that's definitely something within the PvP meta. There's people that's like, hey, I know revelation's running rampant, but hey, you know what? I'm just gonna build more lighthouses. I use triple lighthouse. They're gonna use triple revelation. I'm just gonna stack up and build lighthouses, right? So that's something that I really feel like is definitely a major goal and should be a major shift. Like even for me, I'm building the 3rd White Fang right now. And what was kind of funny was I wasn't necessarily building this White Fang for like a DPS. There's actually different things that I think, like, when you start to think outside of the box, like, what do you have access to and what can you do? You can put a support on something like White Fang, and like, for example, this one was one we were working on in stream, where we were actually trying to roll like not only the Swift Rush with the Swift Raid, but then also a speed roll. Right now, all I got to do really at this point is just roll any shell and then, like, you know, transfer those stats over, and then I'll have access to a Swift Rush, Swift Raid, because that excess of that extra bonus is going to make a character so much faster. Like, when you activate that additional 15 speed, your character is now able to hit certain speed thresholds and then still maintain other values. So if it's a Swift Smite, if it's a Swift Raid, it's going to allow you to be able to hit those other values and then still be able to still deal damage, still land your debuffs, still, you know, like, it's so many different things that kind of comes with that. And I think because we'll see a shell and it's like, oh no, that's just for DPS, you kind of will write it off as like, oh, I can't use that. But somebody actually said it in the last stream, is that you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Like, and that's really what it is. Now, they were kind of talking a little bit crazy though. They wanted me to actually take my DPS Fury Eye, Keen Eye, and Fury Edge, Keen Eye, and Fury, and fuse it into one of my Swift Raids so I can have a character on that for speed. But I'm like, dude, when, like, you know how rare this is? Like, there's people right now that still can't get a Fury, Keen Eye, and a Fury Edge right now. Like, so yeah, nah, I'm good. So yeah, there's the RNG, obviously, right? But for me, what I'm looking at is what I have, and then like trying to facilitate how I can actually work that into different strategies, and just thinking outside the box, outside of like, okay, I need to directly have a Gigabyte or have a Codex of Magic for my support to do this. It's like, well, maybe I can make this work because, hey, if they rotate fast enough, then I might not have to worry about that nearly as much. And then that might be some excess damage that might actually equate to me getting a kill, right? Like, so you just have to kind of reconfigure your teams a little bit differently. And I think that that's the other thing that I've been realizing with this game, is that there isn't necessarily just one cut, dry pace format of how you have to go about doing things. As long as you obviously respect certain mechanics, or even in some cases outspeed, or even in some cases out tank, you can actually get through some content, right? And I think that that's the thing that I've like kind of seen, is like, there's been so many different variations. We've had people come to the forefront and prove that you don't need certain units to do certain things. Now, I will say investment, of course, is one thing when we're talking about lattice and stuff like that. But again, until we see certain things over time improve, you got to work with what you got, right? Like, and especially if you're going to continue to play, you got to work with what you got. And I really will say, and I implore those that are continuing to at least stay constant for daily activity, make sure you do everything in your power to accumulate as much lattice and whatever it is that you can. So whenever something is being changed or, like, you know, shifted, you're gonna have more than the people that are coming back, because you're gonna have been consistent, right? So that's just my take there. But nonetheless, right, that's just on the shell component, right? Now, the other thing I want to talk about too is fixating and focusing, okay, on one thing at a time. I think that that's one thing that was kind of set people up for failure, was this idea that you need to be doing everything at once, or that you need to be moving at the exact same pace as the dudes that are competing in EWS, right? And realistically, it's like, are there some free to play that are, you know, relatively close or maybe keeping up to some degree? Sure. But is the average person going to be able to realistically do that? No, not really, right? And so I think that, like, the best course of action at this point in time, I get it, and I listen, I am there with you guys. I have been in Nico Nana for like 2.5 weeks now. Actually, that's Inferno, specifically farming Inferno for like 3 weeks almost now. But my God, I've lived here, right? I think we can all attest to the fact we have lived in Nico Nana. But I gotta say that it is definitely something that, like, get those shells that you need done, and then from there, try to get the rolls that you might need, but just power through it, okay? Just power through it, because I am living the same thing you guys are right now, and it's just the grind, right? For right now. we're going through Nico Nana. You know, as soon as I get the drops that I want from there, then I'm going to shift over to like Shadow Flame Hoyan, and then of course into Rengoku. But again, that's just one of those things where I also feel like I was reminded from going on to the my Epic 7 account. We streamed not only Etheria but Epic 7 the other day. Somebody was like, you know, you have to stop fighting what your account is trying to tell you, what you're kind of having, what is kind of trying to make you play, right? So my account isn't really emphasizing speed as much as I would like it to. So I'm just like, okay, now I got to kind of consider how can I build myself or shift into more bruiser stuff. Like, and even when like you look at a lot of my gear, it kind of falls more into that. So it's like, all right, cool, right? That means I need to also facilitate how I'm making my team comps for like my PvE as well. Because if I'm not really facilitating crazy speed, that means that I'm not going to be able to do certain clears with certain types of units or even specific units because they are more speed oriented. Whereas there's other characters that are more suited for general clears. In reality, when we talk about general clears, sometimes a general clear would be like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Like, do I really care? Not really. I got the clear and it's consistent. I'd rather take that, right? So that's just kind of that. Now, the other thing also too, and I want to talk about and just kind of touch on the Dreamscape really quick because I get it. I currently got like 6 keys right now myself. And I do this like just to make sure that my keys never hit capacity, but I still do it, right? Even on the Dreamweaver guide, like I think I'm on 3 out of 4. So I just need to do this next part here and I get another key. But guys, I personally will say, you know, granted, it's like, you know, the shards definitely don't feel that crazy, right? For the Dream Lattice. But one thing I was like kind of thinking about was like for free to play, and we were kind of talking about that on stream, was the Dream Crystal Mystery Box. And then I even did a like a good chunk on just the Dream Shadow Print Mystery Box. And I was like, you know what? These are actually pretty valuable boxes just because one, the Hydra Crystal box is going to allow you to be able to play more. And the Shadow Print box is going to be able to get your characters up to the standard of being able to, what I think a lot of people forget is that 6-starring characters and even building characters into 6-star in general is important for 2 different things, right? Or really 3. If they're a damage dealer, it scales their damage. If they're a support, and say they scale off of HP, it'll scale their bulk, it'll scale their scaling in general because of the HP or even defense, right? But the other thing that's really important is the base speed, right? And so it's like these base values that I noticed that a lot of people are trying to skimp out on, and I get it. It's like, you know, I'm trying to make the most out of what I have, but I also feel like too, if you have other things that are going to allow you to expedite something else or give you more of something to make something more seamless, you want to like, again, kind of ladder yourself or kind of step, you know, like take it up like step by step versus like trying to jump 10 steps, right? And so I feel like if something like for me, when I'm kind of looking at this, if I'm averaging, right, like I did almost 100 of this so far, and then I did about 30 something or 40 something into this one almost. So if I'm looking at this and I'm like, dang, like I did 100 and I probably got like in total maybe 14 to 15 maybe shards. And I kind of think about this where like right now I could use just the tablets, right, and redeem that, and that's already 10 shards. I might be better off putting that into something else because I'm still going to be getting shards, but I also will be able to also get shadow prints or the Hydra crystals. Like I said, more ability to play the game is also valuable too. And then of course, being able to build up your units is also valuable as well. So I feel like out of the 3 boxes, the only one that's kind of like, I'm not really too sure, because I mean, granted, you do get more opportunity to summon, but it's also accumulating and building shards as well. And it's the Dream Prototype box, and it's not guaranteed that if you have this specific thing is guaranteeing or going to give you a SSR, right? It's a chance of getting one, and it's a fair chance, but still. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that in there, that there was definitely some perspectives in terms of like how people were actually approaching these boxes, which in this time period, instead of just looking at the event and just being like, oh, the event sucks, still do it, man. It's still extra currency you didn't have on your account before. and the keys don't cost you anything, right? So like the daily keys you get, spend your daily keys, get those tablets, complete the Dreamweaver guide, still get those excess things because they still do add up. They might not be what you want, but they still add up. So that's how I've been kind of like approaching everything, because I do think that that's something that's going to separate those that are going to continuously stay consistent versus those that drop off and then want to maybe come back 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. There's going to be a pretty significant gap. Like, not to say they won't have some great things coming, but it's going to be a gap for sure, right? So I think that that's basically my whole spiel. I'm not going to run this any longer, but I just want to kind of talk about some of those things, because I feel like for where I'm at, like, and just to kind of show that real quick, like where my account's at, like I got a good amount of level 50s, got a ton of level 45s, and there's still so much that I got to do on the account. There's still so much that I got to lattice, but again, I'm like taking that week by week when, you know, I'm doing my arena runs, doing my RTA or tower or Ethernet rally, this new Dreamscape event. And then also on top of that, I'm looking at the fact that, okay, I can actually work on shells. Granted, do I want to be here? No. But when I really think about it, it's kind of almost giving it kind of reminds me a little bit of like, how long were we in Wyvern, right? Like, how long were we in Giants? Like, there was definitely a dungeon in each game that we were in forever. Like, and I would even argue, like, I remember when I first got back into Epic 7, somebody said to me, they were like, I was like, how long do you is it expected to farm Wyvern? They're like, oh, 2 to 3 years. I'm like, 2 to 3 years? I was like, so, but hey, that's just how it is. But either way, man, that's going to be that with this one. I hope that this was able to maybe give some individuals a mental shift and just some extra insight. And if anything, you just enjoyed the conversation, man. But that's that, guys. I hope you guys stay blessed. Happy hunting. I'll see you guys today for the what is it called, the alpha for Godforge, and then after we get out of that, we'll probably do a little bit of Epic 7 or Etheria Restart. We'll see how we kind of feel. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be that. Everyone stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.